What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes. Coming straight from the Berg, she is none other than Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend?
Just same old, same old. Still have a bit of that sore throat we talked about last week. It's kind of hanging on a little bit. I mean, I feel like the sickness part of it's out of the way. Now it's just that like really dry. It feels like something's stuck in the back of your throat at all times. That's what we're dealing with today.
It's an annoyance, basically.
Yeah, because it's that like it hurts to talk, but
Right.
we weren't gonna miss this episode, so I'll push through.
Thank you for pushing through. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are listening for the first time, welcome on in. Hopefully you get comfortable, grab your snacks. We are a professional wrestling podcast where Shay and I discuss the happenings in the world of professional wrestling, whether it's WWE, AEW, or anything of the like. We sit here and we talk about what's going on. Usually we answer your questions, but this week we're going to be doing it a little bit differently because we had such a massive weekend of professional wrestling from both WWE and AEW. We're just going to be going through the cards of the weekend and giving our thoughts and our match ratings and things like that for this week. I believe next week we should be returning to our normal format where we will be answering your questions. But for this week, it's all about the recaps. And we had a very, very busy weekend of professional wrestling between All In, Saturday night's main event, and Evolution. This weekend was packed. Did you get through it okay?
I survived it. I'm impressed that you did because you were doing a lot of stuff. I give you props for doing the streams and everything because I would have fallen asleep about halfway through All In even because God, it was a good show. I mean, we'll get more into it later, but God, it was so fucking long.
It was long.
Was so long. Like, I get that it's the WrestleMania, so of course it's gonna be long. But oh my God, almost 8 hours.
Yeah,
like,
it was long.
Yeah.
It was unnecessarily long because you would think they had a little bit less, like maybe 3 matches less than they usually have on a pay-per-view card, and still it felt like it just was never ending. I hope they take it into consideration not to do that next time.
Well, we say that every show, and yet they keep doing it. So
yeah,
clearly not. But we made it through by the skin of our teeth. But we survived it. We did the thing.
We did. And tonight we're going to talk about all those shows. Why don't we get started? Why don't we talk about AEW All In? And that was the show that kind of, for me at least, and most likely you as well, kicked off the weekend of festivities for us with a lot of wrestling, and it was a sight to see because I was a little worried that they weren't going to pack out the building and make it aesthetically look nice, but they did a really good job with the production and the setup of All In.
Yeah, it was definitely kind of like what I said earlier. It's like their WrestleMania, but it really is because that was a big place and they pretty much almost sold that place. I don't think it was an entire sellout, but it was pretty damn close. Or if it wasn't, they were very good, like you said, with production of like making it look like it was full. And the crowd was electric. Props to them again for staying for that entire thing because I would have probably needed that nap halfway through. But yeah, All In was a good start to the weekend. I mean, obviously, it was the only show we had seen at the time. It was like, oh, that was like so far the best stuff we'd seen. And then we had Evolution, which we'll get into later. I think I guess collectively blew everything else out of the water. But overall, AEW All In was a very solid show.
Yes.
It did have a few, like we always say, matches where it's like we really didn't need this on a pay-per-view card. And there were also some endings to some matches where it was like, why did we have to do that? That was really stupid. But it didn't take away from the entire show overall, I don't think. I think it was a pretty solid show overall. But yeah, it did have some moments where you had to kind of scratch your head a little bit.
For sure. Well, let's get right into it. It opened up. We're just going to talk about the main show. There were a couple matches on the pre-show, the 0 hour All In special, but we're just going to talk about the main show and what kicked off there. Starting off with the Ops, Katsuyori Shibata, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Samoa Joe defending the AEW World Trios Championships against the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and stepping in would be Gabe Kidd on the side of the Death Riders. And for the most part, this was a fun little opener, nothing too crazy, nothing that really sticks out to make you think, wow, that was definitely something to look forward to. It was basically the a standard trios match. I was actually just surprised that the Ops ended up getting the win over the Death Riders. I figured maybe the Death Riders would get a dub and maybe salvage their evening depending on how the main event went. But this one saw the Ops defeat the Death Riders, and a match that went 14 minutes and 10 seconds. I gave it 3 1/4 flames out of 5. How about you?
Yeah, I also gave it 3 1/4. It was nothing to write home about. I feel like this was definitely a match that would fit into the category of it didn't really need to be on the card, but it was what it was. It was expectedly so physical. It was chaotic at times. Gabe Kidd, I think, definitely fits in with the Death Riders,
Yeah, he
but
definitely does.
you can kind of tell they miss Pac a little bit though, because he adds a whole other layer of depth to that team. So it's sucks that he's still not there, but Gabe Kidd's definitely a worthy substitute. But yeah, I was kind of expecting the Death Riders to win, just so obviously for later in the show things would not be all terrible for them. But yeah, it wasn't bad. I was kind of expecting Hook to show up at some point, but that still didn't happen. They talked about him, but they never really like acknowledged it. Well, and I was expecting him to show up afterwards when the Death Riders just started attacking everybody with the chairs, and clearly didn't. And poor Samoa Joe got his neck broke. No, quote unquote broke.
That was crazy.
So it's like, oh, Hook really doesn't give a fuck right now, does he? Because he probably should have showed up to help him, but as they kind of alluded to the last time we saw him, he was not too thrilled with Samoa Joe. He probably feels like he's been replaced by Powerhouse Hobbs, which, yeah, I mean, he kind of has. You can't really argue with it, but yeah, it was a solid match. It wasn't terrible. I gave it 3 1/4 as well. It was a solid start to the show, but could have been on TV.
I would agree. I would agree. But it was a solid opener to the festivities of the evening for All In, and that takes us into our next match. Was the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal for a future AEW World Championship match. This had a lot of people in it. It was a kind of different way to do the traditional Battle Royal. Basically, the intervals at which the participants would come out was random. It was never the same amount of time. But they would come out at random intervals, and instead of throwing your opponents over the top rope to advance and win the match, you had to get the pinfall in the match, and that ended up being MJF pinning Roderick Strong to win the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal and get a future AEW World Championship shot whenever he chooses. And I feel like this was what they were setting up for all along, trying to get that heel face dynamic with the eventual world champion that was going to come about in MJF. I wonder how this plays up for the Hurt Syndicate, because like it's kind of weird. Like MJF is the one fighting for the world championship out of the Hurt Syndicate, and Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin are just okay relegated being tag team champions. I would figure they would want to go after the world championship themselves. But again, interesting that MJF ended up winning. I feel like they can never get away with MJF win. Like he wins the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal, he wins the Dynamite Diamond Ring. It's just always MJF, MJF, MJF.
Yeah, it kind of gets annoying after a while, but it was also just not I mean, it wasn't a surprise when he won, because I mean, you looked at the field they had, and it was just very glaringly obvious that he was going to end up winning regardless. So it was like, okay, what a shock, he won. Like big whoop, I guess. But yeah, the match itself wasn't bad. It was chaotic, like absolutely chaotic. After a while, you're just like, I don't know who to look at. I don't know what's going on. Some people got some time to shine, way more than others. But there was definitely some action. They were able to kind of hit on a few feuds here and there within the match. Got Juice back. That was fun. That was a fun
Yes.
surprise. And that crowd went nuts when his music hit. So that was good for him. He deserved that. That was a feel good moment for him. But yeah, it was just it's a fun little match. Nothing to really complain about. I think I also gave it 3 1/4 flames.
Yes.
Just like last time.
I too also gave it 3 1/4 flames. Like you said, nothing too crazy, nothing to go nuts over. It was just I just thought the format of it was interesting, different than what you usually get from the standard battle royal, and interesting that they gave the win to Mr. MJF, who's definitely gonna gloat about it for the foreseeable future. He's just not gonna shut up about it.
Yeah, much like he doesn't just shut up about anything else. So it's just another thing for him to be insufferable about.
All right, now next we had a impromptu triple threat match, which was not supposed to be the case for the TNT Championship, or a four-way match. I'm sorry, it wasn't a triple threat. It was a fatal four-way match for the vacant TNT Championship, and the title had to be vacated by the champion Adam Cole, who is dealing with an injury and could not be cleared in time for AEW All In. And before we get into the match, a scary situation where we don't know if we'll ever see Adam Cole in the wrestling ring again, being a professional wrestler.
Yeah, which that is a terrible sentence to have to say out loud, because it's just not the same when he's not around, because we always said he's one of the best wrestlers in the world for a reason. He's been a champion everywhere he's gone, and he's just that good. And it sucked seeing that tweet before the show started, and it's like, damn, what the heck happened? Because it seemed like things were fine, and then all of a sudden they weren't, and it's just like, well, damn, that's some shocking news to me. And then I will say, I get where Tony was going, having Adam go out there and like address the crowd. However, that was not a good idea at all. You could have saved it you probably should have saved it for Dynamite after because again, people are going to wonder what's going on and speculate, and how was he hurt? Is he hurt? Is it an illness? Whatever. You could have had them maybe address it on Dynamite, because after his promo, that crowd, that sucked the life out of that crowd.
Yeah, it really did. It really did.
And understandably, it's like, that's like, you can't blame I mean, you can blame Tony for having him go out there and do it, because it's like, I get what you were trying to do there, but you kind of just sacrificed the energy of the match for the title right afterwards. So it was a little weird. Again, I would have just saved it for Dynamite, but whatever. It is clearly a little too late now, but yeah, it sucks. I hope we get to see him wrestle again one day, because it'd be a shame if we didn't, because I've always loved Adam. Great wrestler, and yeah, it's not going to be the same without him there for sure. The match itself, again, it's kind of hard to focus on it, to be honest, after all the stuff that happened before. But yeah, you could just tell the crowd, like, the life just got sucked out of them, and nobody was reacting to really anything for a while, and it's just like, understandably so. Again, that was not the best thing timing wise to do. So the match itself was okay. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was just, given the circumstances, they did a good job at the very least. However, and you and I talked about this after it happened, so we had picked Kyle Fletcher to win the title, even when it was just him and Adam.
Right.
So when they showed that it was Daniel Garcia, Dustin Rhodes, and Sammy Guevara, and Kyle Fletcher, we're like, oh, he's got this in the bag. Like, he's got this in the bag. This isn't even like, just give him the belt and move on. Until they didn't. Yeah. And of all people, we have to give the belt to Dustin Rhodes, because why? I feel like we should have seen it coming
Right.
when they pulled the whole he's never won a singles title in AEW, and I should have like saw that coming from a mile away, but it's also just like surely they're gonna not give this to Kyle
Right.
because they probably were going to give it to him until Adam got hurt. It's just like why it's like, and it's not a knock on Dustin. He's a great wrestler, he's a legend. However, did we really need the Texas feel good moment for no reason? Literally no reason. The fact that they had to, when they were saying like, oh yeah, he's part of the Ring of Honor tag titles and the six man, and I'm just like, oh, those are a thing. Yeah, because I totally forgot that they existed. Just why?
Yeah.
Just why?
I don't know. I would have, like you said, I thought Kyle Fletcher had this in the bag. Like he was just gonna. It was a foregone conclusion. He was gonna walk out as the TNT champion. And
Yeah.
the only thing I could equate it to is like it was a feel good moment because it's Dustin, and Dustin recently signed a new contract with AEW to remain with AEW. So I guess it's sort of like that. Okay, here's your reward for being loyal to the company. But
Doesn't make sense.
yeah, like there's no compelling matchups there's no compelling reason to see Dustin Rhodes as the TNT champion. Like there aren't any Dustin Rhodes matches that I would like to see down the line. I'm not clamoring to see Dustin Rhodes. So it was just a very odd to go with that. I mean, I guess it's a feel good moment, and I guess you have to have them every once in a while. It was just an odd time to do one right then and there.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes that's AEW's like crutch is, well, we have to have the feel good moment because it's here. It's gonna
Right.
make no sense, but we just have to have it. And it's like, no, you don't. You really don't. Like, no one was gonna be pissed if he lost because no one expected him to actually win. So it's
Yeah.
not like you were like pissing people off or anything. But yeah, it is what it is. It's a shame. I'm probably rating this lower than it probably should be, but it was just everything leading up to that match just kind of bummed me out, and it was kind of hard to get into it. So I just gave it a straight like three flames
Oh
because
wow.
the circumstances just didn't really help it. Unfortunately, like I said, that was the biggest mistake Tony made was to have that segment happen right before the match. Like I get it on paper, it makes sense, but when you have a guy pretty much saying this could be my last match, like time you ever see me again. I might not ever wrestle again, but I don't really know for sure. Like, what did you guys think was going to happen to that crowd? Like, it was just a dumb decision, I think, on his part.
Yeah, this was actually another match, the third match in a row that I gave 3 1/4 flames to. It really didn't wow me or do anything to knock my socks off. It was
Yeah.
okay. Again, weirded out by the decision to have Dustin Rhodes to be the champion leaving AEW All In, but maybe it's going to be a short reign. Maybe he'll be a transitional champion. I honestly thought they were going to give the belt to Kyle Fletcher, but either way, I gave it 3 1/4 flames.
Yeah, they did their best.
They did their best. And moving on, we have a tag team match between Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay teaming up to take on the Young Bucks. Now, this was an interesting because it had some interesting stipulations. If the Young Bucks lost the match, they were stripped of their executive vice president titles. If Ospreay and Strickland lost the match, they would not have been able to challenge for the AEW World Championship for 1 year. Now, this was a match that I enjoyed strictly because it kind of gave me that old school Young Bucks feeling and showed me why the Young Bucks were once considered the best tag team in all of professional wrestling. It gave me that little bit of a throwback feel. It felt like a little bit like a PWG match. So I definitely enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the crazy spots that usually people hate because it's the Young Bucks and it's choreographed and acrobatic and whatever have you. But I still thought it was a fun match. But I was surprised. I was surprised to see. I mean, we figured Ospreay and Swerve were gonna win the match because to have them not challenge for the title for a year would be kind of handicapping them creatively. So we saw this happen. It was just, I kind of thought like maybe it was me falling into the match because I kind of thought it could have went back and forth, and but I am happy that Swerve and Ospreay ended up getting the win. This match went 25 minutes, almost 26 minutes long.
And honestly, it didn't feel like it.
No, it
It
didn't.
was just like it was so enjoyable that it was like it felt like it was over in the blink of an eye. I too fell for it because when Osprey hit Swerve with the hidden blade, I'm like, ah, here we fucking go. I'm like, they're gonna really
Mm,
fall. They're gonna really fall for this trap, aren't they? Because that was, I think, our biggest concern was they would try to go into the drama of it all and have those two lose. So then you have two of your top stars not be able to challenge for the title for a year, which even just saying that sentence, you can tell that's a bad idea creatively and just, money wise and whatever. So we were hoping that they were going to be able to actually control themselves and make the right choice. And we said it would be more entertaining to see the Young Bucks have to like come to the reality that they're not EVPs anymore. Like again, they try to like get a jet and they don't have one because they don't have the title. They try to like
yeah.
tell people what to do backstage, and they're like, "Yeah, you can't tell us what to do anymore. Get lost." So that I thought is going to be a little more entertaining than having to sit and watch your two top stars just do mindless storyline shit for a year until you could actually have them challenge again. So I'm glad they pulled the trigger on that one. But for the match, it's the Young Bucks and Swerve and Osprey. Like no shit, they were gonna have a great match. Like that's not even like a surprise. If they would have had anything less than a good match, I would have been shocked. So no shit. That it was one of the best matches of the night,
Yeah.
and it didn't feel clunky. It felt like it was paced really well. It had some slow moments. Those last few minutes, Jesus Christ, it was like breakneck speed at that point, but it didn't feel like emotional whiplash in a bad way, but it was just like my God, the dramatics. This is just like, this is fucking great. And I'm glad that Swerve and Osprey won because they should have. So good for them. They all had, I think I thought was good too was they had like those longer entrances to maybe, help the crowd recover a little bit
Yeah.
from, the match and the speech before it. But you kind of had to just look at the Young Bucks entrance and just go, this is just so stupid that it's funny. It's so stupid, but it was entertaining. But yeah, everybody, I mean, obviously I loved Osprey's Assassin's Creed entrance because why wouldn't it be? Of course it would be his. And sort of having JoJo Offerman come out, that was really nice. It was a nice touch with like the fireflies in the back. That was a little cool. Um, and then the Young Bucks dumbass entrance. So it was what do I think
that
what we needed?
that entrance by the Young Bucks, I don't know what they were thinking. It was
I don't think they were, but
yeah.
you know what? It just is what it is. It's what you would expect. But as far as the match, I gave it the what did I give? I gave it 3 3/4 flames because again, what did you expect? It's Osprey and Swerve and the Young Bucks. You knew it was going to be a fantastic match.
For sure, like I said, they kind of brought it back to the old school Young Bucks, kind of
Yeah,
restored that feeling, which is something that has been desperately needed in AEW. So it was good to see them kind of revert back to their old ways, to the old reliable in a way. They know how to get it done in the ring, and it was an enjoyable match. So going forward, it's interesting. I kind of want to see, like you said, the Young Bucks try to flex a little bit of executive power, but they don't have executive power. So that I
yep.
feel like that's going to be very interesting if they go that route, and hopefully they do.
I hope so. Because I mean, what else are you going to do? Just
Yeah.
have them act like they weren't EVPs? Like that'd be kind of dumb. So let the shenanigans start.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And now moving on, we had a women's casino gauntlet battle royal, the same as the men, for a future AEW Women's World Championship match. And I thought this was actually a little bit better than the men's. I actually enjoyed this one a little bit more than the men's, and I feel like the right person won, having Athena win by pinning Mina Shirakawa, winning in her home state of Texas, which was a big thing. I know she wanted to be on the show. She was really making sure that she was going to be on the show or she was going to be bummed out, but they had her on the show and she ends up winning the women's gauntlet casino battle royal. So good for her.
See, and this is how you do a feel good moment that actually makes sense. Like this is how you're supposed to do it, not whatever they were doing with Dustin Rhodes. But yeah, I definitely like this one more than the men's. It didn't feel like it was all over the place. It felt like it was paced well enough. The biggest thing issue I had with it though was when they started the whole like graphic and everything for like the men's. you had who the number 1 and 2 were, and then you had like the other people that were advertised. For the women, you literally just had it's Stat and Megan Bayne, and then everybody else is like, we don't know who it is. It's like, okay, well, you've had people who've said that they're in the gauntlet, so why did you not have the graphics team make the proper graphic then? Because I knew Athena was in it, because literally the night before she said she was going to be in it, so why did you only put Stat and Megan Bayne on, like, the graphic, and then when you had the hype up video for it, then you started showing people who were in it, and it's just like, okay, well, you gotta have to have it one of two ways, because if you wouldn't have had something like that, you could have at least had a couple more surprises. And trust me, there were surprises.
Yeah.
I won't knock them on that. They had some good ones. Obviously, you have Alex Windsor, you have Shuri coming in, Mina coming in, so that wasn't the problem. It was just like, okay, well, you pretty much know everyone else that's coming in, because you're showing Queen Aminata, you're showing Tekla, you're showing Julia Hart, you're showing Thunder Rosa, and so a little bit annoying, but other than that, though, sorry, as I'm dying already. What I thought was interesting though was you would have thought that the women's match would have been way more chaotic than the men's, considering the fact that you had like what 3 or 4 other women that weren't even in the match,
Right.
participating in the match, because you had Sky Blue, you had Anna Jay, you had Penelope Ford, and so I'm
Yeah.
like, why are they just not in the match? Like,
I thought the same thing, especially with Sky Blue. She was getting some
yeah,
offense in.
yeah, I'm like, why is she just not in this match? Like I get the whole thing with like Penelope Ford, obviously with like Harley Cameron coming up, so it's like, okay, that makes sense, but just put them all in there. Like, just put them all in the match. It was a little silly, but it also just oddly didn't take away from the match, though. I thought
No.
it was a little more entertaining, even though half the people participating weren't even actually participating. But um, yeah, I thought it was great. A little mad Stat lost, but it happens.
Mhm.
Clearly my scenario leading up to that and then the women's title match clearly didn't happen, so I don't have to worry about that. But no, good for Athena. Like, again, that's the one where you can look at that as a feel good moment and go, yeah, that makes sense, because she's pretty damn unstoppable right now. So to have her potentially going against somebody we will talk about later during the women's title match is just like, oh yeah, sign me the fuck up for that. Like, I am excited.
For sure, for sure. I ended up giving this one 3.5 flames out of 5. I thought it was better than the men's. I thought the action was a little bit faster paced and it kept you glued watching it. And again, I was down for the feel good moment of Athena winning in her home state of Texas. I know how badly she wanted to be on the show, so good for her. And eventually we'll see who she's going to be facing for the AEW Women's World Championship, and it should be a good one for sure. Because Athena, imagine if like Athena continues to be the ROH World Champion, and then now she carries the AEW Women's World Championship too. That'd be kind of crazy.
That'd be wild.
Yeah.
Just, well, it could happen. I wouldn't be surprised, but I also gave it 3.5. That was a really good match. Definitely, I think I liked it more than the men's, and yeah, I can't really complain about the winner.
Right. All right. So next up, we had a 3-way tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, where the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin were defending the titles against Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey, Jet Speed, and the Patriarchy, Christian Cage, and Nick Wayne. This one kind of felt like one of the ones that I probably would have put on TV rather than the main card of the show. And nothing really to write home about in the match. I think everything that happened with Christian Cage at the end after the match is what more dominated the stories than the actual match itself.
Yeah, the match was okay. It definitely was another this needs to be on Dynamite or Collision, because it wasn't terrible, but it was just like a little clunky at times. But there was never really any tout of the Hurt Syndicate not retaining, so it's like you knew they were going to, so it was just kind of a foregone conclusion at that point. But it is what it is on that one. But let's be honest, we all care about what happened afterwards,
Yeah.
which you can't really blame Nick Wayne for, because he's been just the subject of psychological warfare by Christian Cage for the last, like, what, year at this point? Maybe a little more, so you can't really fault the guy for finally snapping a little bit, so you can't really feel bad for Christian too much, and I'm just like, "Oh, so maybe this is where Copeland finally comes back," and of course he did. However, I feel like we're gonna be beating a dead horse with this one, where it's just like, dude, your friend's about to get his neck broke again, and you're just gonna stand up there and get do the aura farming up on the stage. Like, you gotta get the pyro, you gotta get the stuff in, and it's just like, dude, you're supposed to run in and help your friend, not
Yeah.
like, why what do they teach these guys over in NXT or in AEW? Because it's just like, this happens quite often in AEW, where it's like, guys, urgency is the word of the day. You have to go help them, but it is what it is. It's just like I felt a little vindicated that I called it, but yeah, it'll be very interesting because people have been wanting Copeland and Christian to reunite, and this is clearly the setting that up for that, and which I'll be excited about. But yeah, that was just kind of stupid on Copeland's part to, not realize and read the room of what you're supposed to be doing. But yeah, it was a good match that clearly we're not even talking about. It was just, yeah, it was fine. I just gave it 3 1/4. It was fine.
Yeah, I also gave it 3 1/4. It was nothing to really write home about, but not bad. It wasn't clunky or anything like that. It just felt like a normal match. It didn't fit the setting of AEW All In, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And then moving on to one of the better matches of the night. I really enjoyed this one. It was for the AEW Women's World Championship, where Timeless Toni Storm defended the title against Mercedes Moné. And I gotta say, Mercedes must have figured it out, because now she's having these banger matches left and right. And this one was no different. This was an excellent, excellent match, and I enjoyed it very, very much. What about you?
Oh, I loved it. It was probably my favorite match of the night, or pretty up there. I was kind of hoping, because we have been critics of Mercedes Moné on this podcast, to
Right.
say the least.
For sure.
But we have said, when she gives a shit, she gives a shit. And boy, I think she's giving a shit now, because damn, that was a fantastic match. But my favorite thing about that was, despite the fact that you and I have separate opinions on who was going to win, and we'll get into that a little bit later, it kind of played into the fact of, these two were so good and that match was so even. You really had no idea who was going to win, honestly. Like, there are some where it's like, okay, well, they want to make it seem closer than it actually is, but you can tell a mile away who's going to win. Now, this one, it was like, either one of them could have won, and people would have been like, yeah, that would have made sense. Like, that totally makes sense. Um, Obviously, I wanted Tony to retain, but also for the sake of our championship prediction title, I wanted Mercedes to win, just, so I can get my points. But we'll get more into that as we get into Evolution, because you're not
Sure.
gonna be too thrilled later. But no, the match itself, I fucking loved it. It was just great. That ending, the ending too, just the kiss into the pile driver off the top rope, just damn. It was just good. It's a Tony Storm match. It's a Mercedes Moné match. It's like water's wet. These two are just like two of the best in the business right now. And yeah, they put on an instant classic at All In.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 3 3/4 flames out of 5. Again, I'm just excited because Mercedes Moné isn't phoning it in anymore. She's
No,
she's busting her ass out there. She's really showing like she's one of the best out there to do it. So again,
and she's beatable.
yeah, I was really stoked about that, and this match was great. What'd you rate it again?
3 3/4 flames.
There you go. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And the fact that Mercedes ended up taking her first loss, her first singles loss in
Yeah.
AEW, speaks volumes. So
Yeah.
I wonder what's next for Mercedes. She still is the TBS champion. She still has to defend that title. So I wonder what's next for her.
Yeah, I'll admit, because again, on our predictions, you had Tony and I had Mercedes, because I just had a feeling, because unfortunately AEW's track record has proven that sometimes they can't help themselves when they get too infatuated with the shiny toy, and I thought that's what was going to happen. I thought they were going to put every fucking belt that they could imagine onto Mercedes, and it was gonna continue it all in. But you know what? I was glad to be wrong. At the time, I wasn't happy about being wrong, but then later in the weekend, I was happy again. But we'll get on that later. But no, that was definitely one of my favorite matches of the night for sure. Easily 3 3/4 flames.
For sure, for sure. And then moving on, we had a winner take all match to unify the AEW Continental Championship and the AEW International Championship, to unify them into the inaugural AEW Unified Championship, where Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada will be taking on his arch nemesis, the international champion Kenny Omega. And the one thing I was looking for the most was I wanted to see glimpses of their New Japan rivalry, which I feel like down the stretch towards the end of the match, we really got into that territory where it was getting dicey, where they were kicking out of each other's moves. I don't know if I was fully fulfilled in getting my New Japan match in AEW, but it was still a pretty damn good match, and I enjoyed it very much. I was surprised that Okada ended up getting the win and becoming the new unified champion. I honestly thought Kenny Omega would continue his reign as a champion. I guess not.
Yeah, I think we both picked Kenny, so we were a little shocked on that end. But yeah, I think it's tough because I think a lot of people just need to kind of accept the fact that we're not going to be getting New Japan Kenny or New Japan Okada anymore. That's kind of like they're kind of done with that like facet of their careers. So it sucked a little bit because obviously when you see their previous matches, yeah, you could have easily been a little disappointed seeing this one. I mean, and it wasn't a terrible match by any means. I'm not saying that at all. It was still a fantastic match because, again, it's Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada. Like, water's wet that they can put on a good match with their eyes closed. But you can't... I mean, especially with Kenny saying he doesn't have a lot of matches left in him. Like, he's pretty much getting towards the end of his career, which is sad. That's a sentence I didn't like saying, but it's just, yeah, it's like, you're not gonna... Because I think even Mom was saying, she's like, am I gonna actually get to see the cleaner? I'm like, I'm just gonna be completely honest with you, Mom. You give it up. You're on it. You're not gonna see the cleaner. Like, if you're going to, you're gonna have to like go back and watch some of his older matches because that's just not him anymore. And kind of the same thing with Okada. He's not New Japan Okada anymore. Like, he can kind of, I think, as we've said before, kind of, phone it in a little bit now because he doesn't have to be that, like the face of the company like he was in New Japan. So these two are just in different chapters of their careers now, which is, again, just tough to admit, tough pill to swallow in that one, but still a great match though. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. Again, one of my favorites of the night. But yeah, I kind of wanted Kenny to win, but it's fine.
Yeah, I ended up giving the match 3.5 flames out of 5. Again, it was like you said, it was a solid match. You kind of wish it would have gave you a little bit more of the New Japan style, but they really were focused on telling his story with Kenny's compromised midsection and going through the match that way, which made it a very interesting match, and it was still pretty good. Shout out to Kazuchika Okada, the new AEW Unified Champion, whatever unified really means. I don't know.
Well, apparently, according to the press conference, is that now they're gonna defend this title under Continental title rules because the Continental Champion won. I think I got that correctly. I think I did. Which means that Callis probably should have been fired for the shit he pulled because in Continental rules there are no interference.
Right,
so
there's not even supposed to be people in the corner.
Yeah, so that one's gonna be a little iffy on that one. But yeah, I also gave it 3.5. It's definitely not up to their usual standards, but they set the bar so high that it's pretty much damn near impossible to get to that again, but still a very good match nonetheless.
For sure, for sure. And then we get into the main event of the long show. It was a 36-minute affair Texas death match for the AEW World Championship, where Jon Moxley defended the title against Hangman Adam Page. And it was basically a Texas death match, what you would expect. A lot of blood, a lot of blood.
Yeah.
We had forks. We had a bed of
Oh, the
nail.
fork.
Yeah,
Ugh.
a bed of the fork spot really was disgusting because you saw it as it was happening. Like you
Yeah.
saw the punctures
And the
happening.
blood's spurting out. Like,
Yeah,
ugh.
a lot of
Yeah.
barbed wire, some broken glass, a bed of nails. So
Yeah.
this really gave you your feeling if you were looking for a typical Texas death match.
And you're very squeamish if that's not your kind of thing,
Yeah,
because yeah, that fork thing too, just to happen that early, I'm just like, oh, we're gonna really go there, aren't we? It's fine. Yeah, you pretty much knew what you were getting into with this match, so this really isn't one that we really need to dive too far into. There was blood, there was a lot of squeamish moments, like the shoving Hangman's face into the bed of nails.
yeah,
That was disgusting. The one thing I will say though, well, and then of course you had like this is pretty much kind of like their version of Cody versus Roman at WrestleMania 40. You have to get like everybody to come out and help, and
right.
you knew Swerve was going to show up at some point, which was fine. You had Darby coming back, which was great. You had Danielson coming back, which is like you would have fooled me. I never would have thought he was coming back, I guess, but he did that, and then however, I was a little confused when Marina was getting involved because I'm just like, okay, well, it's got to be Willow then because Willow's been the one person that's been able to like take her out on the women's side of this whole thing. And then it ends up being Prince Nana that like handcuffs her to the timekeeper's table. So I'm
Yeah,
like, why did they not use Willow at all in that? It really confused me because she'd been helping them up until this point. So I'm not sure why you didn't include her in, oh, I don't know, the biggest like final battle. So I thought that was a little weird.
yeah,
But I did like the touch at the end when Swerve gave him the chain that he used to hang Hangman so he could hang Moxley. And Mox was really playing that panic up because he was flailing, he was panicking
yeah,
and taps, so we finally it's finally over. The belt's out of the briefcase, thank God. We actually see it again. We know what it looks like now. And I'm glad that they didn't fall for the trap of not keeping Danielson's side plates on it. Because you pretty much had to give the impression that that belt had not seen the light of day since Wrestle Dream last year.
right.
So the fact that they still had Danielson's plates on there, I was like, thank God that they remembered that little detail because people would have spotted that shit from a mile away. And I'm just glad that they paid attention to the fine details there. But yeah, Hangman won, and we're finally, hopefully, almost done with the Death Riders, and we can move on to something else now. But yeah, it was definitely it's kind of like that Hollywood superhero movie ending feel to it for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely for sure. It was like I guess the theme of the night with this show is all about feel good moments. And
I guess.
for as bloody and as violent as the Texas death match was,
Yeah.
having Hangman win was definitely a feel good moment. It finally felt like the power was back in AEW's hands, and it was a good way to cap off the show. I ended up giving the match 3.5 flames out of 5. What about you?
Also, 3.5 flames out of 5.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we're the best damn podcast in all the land.
Right on.
We stay interconnected for sure. Someone had said on Twitter, I can't remember who, but they had a very poignant statement where it was like, All In put a cap on a lot of things that were happening story wise for AEW. So it feels like anything happening after All In, especially with this upcoming Dynamite, is what's next for AEW. How can they keep that momentum going? So I'm really interested in seeing what they're going to be doing here on out and for AEW and how they capitalize on the momentum that they've gained from All In.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not a surprise because we've said before and a couple times on this podcast right now, this is their WrestleMania, so this is going to be like the next chapter of what is AEW going to do next. So, I mean, from what we've been seeing, I can't really complain yet. And again, they still have some bad habits they need to shake, but clearly that's a work in progress, I would hope. But other than that, though, it's just yeah, I'm very interested to see where they go with a lot of things now. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to tune in and see what happens.
Yep. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our rundown of AEW All In Texas. A fine show, well worth the investment of the price tag for it. I enjoyed myself. So shout out to AEW. Hopefully they can keep that momentum going into their next couple of shows, and they'll be good ones as well.
I'm hoping. Fingers crossed.
All right. So, like I said, we had a big weekend of wrestling, so it doesn't stop with just All In. We move on to the other side of the wrestling world in WWE, starting off with Saturday night's main event. Now, I got to be honest with you. Saturday night's main event, this show, it was kind of a, like, if you missed it, you didn't miss much, you know? Like it wasn't anything too crazy. The only match that went over 15 minutes was the main event,
which clearly blew our prediction out of the water. Go figure.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later, but yeah, it was. I mean, obviously there was so much shit to watch that you kind of can't watch that and All In at the same time. So I had to go back and watch it, and it's just like, I really wish I didn't have to watch this because it was just it's fine, I guess, but I was also just like, okay, if I didn't have to cover it and I wouldn't have to like talk about it later on the show, then I really wouldn't have been upset of having to like not see it, because it was just like, okay, it was just a TV episode. That's pretty much all it was.
Yeah, it was interesting because it was just like, I honestly thought like we were gonna get an hour time between All In and Saturday night's main event, and boy was I wrong. We actually got an hour of time added to AEW All In. I'm thinking, yeah, there'll be like an hour gap or so, and maybe, you know, I'll be able to watch the other one, and it's like, nope, not even close, buddy. But this one, it still was a show that we had to cover, like you said, and this one started off interesting with Randy Orton taking on Drew McIntyre. Randy Orton had country music star Jelly Roll in his corner, where Drew McIntyre had Logan Paul in his corner, and this was it was an okay match. It was the shortest match of the night, coming in at 8 minutes and 26 seconds. I think people were really talking about the ending part where Jelly Roll got involved in the match to thwart the beatdown by Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre, and then he knocks out Logan Paul, and then he goes to check on Randy Orton, and then Drew McIntyre claymores Jelly Roll. Oh no!
Oh no, it's a shame. Like, this is so fucking stupid. Like, I don't get it. It's just like, you have plenty of talent on your roster that we don't need to do this stupid shit. And now this is gonna be a thing at SummerSlam. That's the worst part. This is
it's a thing at SummerSlam.
Poor Drew McIntyre. Poor Drew McIntyre. Good God. Like, this is what you get. Like, you had one of the best feuds with CM Punk, and now you're in a program with Logan Paul and Jelly Roll. Like, that's something else.
Well, yeah, the match itself wasn't anything to go crazy over. Pretty standard Randy Orton match. He ended up beating Drew McIntyre to get the win. Like I said, it was 8 minutes and 26 seconds. Nothing really special about it. I gave it 3 1/4 flames out of 5. I don't know, what'd you rate it? Did you rate it?
Yeah, I gave it 3 1/4. 'Cause I mean, it's. I could have easily just rated it a 3 because of just all the nonsense, but Orton and Drew have really good chemistry, so that saved it a little bit for me, kind of bumped it up a little bit, but everything else surrounding it is just a giant ass waste of time, but we're dealing with it whether we want to or not, so yay.
And then next up, we had a singles match for the WWE United States Championship, where Solo Sikoa was defending the title against his older brother, Jimmy Uso. Again, much like the rest of this show, not anything to go crazy over. Pretty much a standard match. You know, nothing to go wild over. They beat down Jimmy Uso at the end. He doesn't get the win. Solo Sikoa picks up the win and retains the title. And Jimmy Uso suffers a beatdown. And then all of a sudden, Jacob Fatu comes out and runs off the rest of the MFT faction. So yeah, nothing really too crazy with this match. I gave it 3 1/4 flames. Nothing to lose your mind over. Again, a lot of this show was pretty much basic.
Yeah, I mean I gave it 3.25 too, because again, it was just like it was there. It was a functional match. Wasn't offensive, wasn't terrible, but it wasn't like, oh my god, I can't believe I missed this. It was just it was there.
And then down to the horrible part of the evening. Of course this had to happen. We had a singles match between LA Knight and Seth Rollins. LA Knight's been the focus of Seth Rollins and his factions of goons to beat down LA Knight, so they come to blows in this match. And this match, unfortunately, went haywire because of an injury. Seth Rollins injured his knee, tweaked his knee bad enough that he could not continue, and they actually had to change the finish. Originally, Seth Rollins was supposed to win this match, as everybody assumed that that would be the case. But since the knee injury happened, LA Knight ended up picking up the win very quickly, getting the hell out of there. And we don't know the exact diagnosis of Seth Rollins' injury and how long he would be out, but all signs say it's not looking good.
No, which could not have happened. I mean, obviously an injury can never happen at an opportune time, but especially now, it's just like, well, now what the hell do you do? He's got the briefcase. You had all these big plans for him, and now it might not even happen. A lot of uncertainty. Obviously, we don't really have the answers as to what they're going to do or what's even going to happen. But yeah, that was God, first it was Adam Cole and then that. It's just like, God damn, Saturday was not very lucky for some people, but yeah, it sucked. It's almost like you can't even rate the match because it didn't really happen, to be honest.
Yeah. They really didn't even get out of the gates, kind
No,
of. You
not at
know,
all.
it was just, it happened, you know, and
You blinked and you missed it.
pretty much, and it was, and for the fact that it went over 11 minutes, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, exactly. It was just it was a shame. It's unfortunate because why did that have to happen?
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately that went down. LA Knight ends up picking up the win, but we all are more concerned with how long Seth Rollins is going to be out of action and how does that affect the Money in the Bank briefcase. That's what most people are more concerned with as of this recording, and we're waiting to see if we get information on Seth Rollins' injury and how long he will be out.
Yeah, and the faction too. Like, what
Yeah.
the hell's gonna happen with that now?
Yeah. That's another
We'll see.
thing. Yeah. A big domino effect with this injury, a big domino effect.
Yeah.
And now that takes us to the main event. It was a match for the World Heavyweight Championship where Gunther defended the title against Goldberg in Goldberg's retirement match. We thought this one was going to go about 3 to 5 minutes. This one ended up going 15 minutes and 20 seconds. A little bit of psychology in this match. They targeted Bill Goldberg's knee and they went with that, and they tried to be a little bit technical. It was okay match for Goldberg standard. It was a pretty decent match.
Yeah, which we didn't think we were gonna say because we were worried about, oh, he's gonna look gassed 2 minutes in and this is gonna be a giant waste of time. I mean, to be fair, it still was a giant waste of time, but you know, we were still getting it anyway, so it was all right. I mean, yeah, at least they tried to make it a little dramatic and high stakes, I guess, if you even want to call it that. But yeah, the worst part is though, I feel like more people are remembering what happened after the match ended,
Right.
which was the end of the show, pretty much. Like, you went to a commercial 3 minutes before the end of that show. You came back, Goldberg had a 30-minute speech, and then you just cut out. It's just like that. Really, NBC? That's what you're going to be doing, I guess? It was just
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Goldberg was not happy. He is not.
No.
He's not happy on how that ended, and he says give it 2 weeks time, and then he'll be able to give you the whole rundown of how everything came together and how everything wasn't what they promised to deliver him. I guess Goldberg was given a bag of promises that weren't fulfilled.
Yeah, I guess the NDA runs out in a couple weeks, I guess, but
I guess
yeah, It was weird.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. Gunther ends up getting the win against Goldberg. Like I said, pretty shocking that this match went longer than what we expected. I still gave it 3.25 flames out of 5. For the most part, Saturday night's main event was just a show. If you ended up missing it, you're not missing much. A lot of it was, I mean, we had the injury that kind of derailed the whole thing, and the other 2 matches beforehand were kind of standard, and so was the main event. So if you ended up missing Saturday night's main event, I feel like this is one of the clear-cut evidence that they were just trying to pack on a show because AEW had All In.
And that completely backfired miserably on them. So, nice try.
Nice
Not
try.
really,
Nice try. Good going. Good going. And then for the final show that we covered this weekend on Sunday, this one, honestly, I kind of feel like this was one of the better shows of the weekend. It was the all women's pay-per-view Evolution, happening on Peacock and Netflix if you're out of the United States. A great night of action. I honestly feel like all the bitching and complaining about there not being a build-up or a lackluster build-up, it really didn't matter.
No, because the women are going to show up and show out regardless, because they've unfortunately been in this situation before. And honestly, I could probably say from top to bottom, this was probably the best show of the entire weekend. Because, yes, All In was great, but it did definitely have some moments where we're like, oh, why is this in here? Why is this a thing? Whatever. I did not feel that way. Like, every match had a purpose. Every match was great. Some more than others, I will say. There's one match in particular where I'm just like, we don't really need this here, but it was still a good enough match that it didn't really, like, take away from the overall, feel good of the pay-per-view. But yeah, it was probably my favorite one of the weekend, and, shockingly, go figure, the women know how to actually put on a great show. Like, water is also wet. I will say, I'll give the props to the crowd, too. You could tell, and I think somebody had it on Twitter, they're like, the fact that apparently the prices for Evolution were so cheap, that means actual fans could get into that show and not the rich, snooty, I'm just here because I can afford it and flaunt my money kind of people were there.
Right.
So they were a wrestling crowd through and through that entire night. They had energy from start to finish. There were no lulls, really. It was like, you know what, good for them. Good for them to understand the assignment of show them why this needs to be a yearly pay-per-view, because it should. Let's just be completely honest. Let's just get it out of the way right now. Evolution yearly pay-per-view from now on.
Yeah.
And the fact that Triple H had the nerve to go on his press conference, and when they were asked about that, because somebody asked him about it being a yearly thing, it's like, oh, well, we have to see if the demand's there. It's like, fuck off with that bullshit. We've been asking for this shit for 7 years, and you're still just like, oh, well, I don't really. It's like, just say you don't want to do it and get it over with, because that's kind of what it came across as. But either way, the women came together and had a fantastic pay-per-view, and I was not surprised in the least. And yeah, I loved it.
For sure, for sure. It started off hot with a triple threat match for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship, where Becky Lynch defended the title against Bayley and former champion Lyra Valkyria. This was a match that I was definitely looking forward to, and these ladies did not disappoint. This was a fun triple threat match, which definitely saw it go down the way I thought it was going to go down. Becky Lynch squeaking out a win against her nemesis Bayley, and now her arch rival Lyra Valkyria, who won an opportunity to now face Becky for the title again at SummerSlam. So I wanted to get your thoughts about that. But first, your thoughts about the triple threat match at Evolution. How'd you think it went?
I was surprised it started the show, because we talked about it last week on the predictions episode. We thought it could have main evented, but obviously, all things considered, it wasn't a surprise that Io and Rhea ended up main eventing. But no, this was a fantastic start to the show. These three have great chemistry with each other. It was so much fun to watch. Honestly, it was. We put so much effort into it, and that pin that Becky had on Bayley to end that match, that was so slick. That was so smooth. I'm like, that was cool. That was really cool. I can't complain. But yeah, Lyra winning, I don't know. I feel like I would have given it to Bayley, but I mean, clearly they think the big money feud is Becky and Lyra, which I mean, it definitely is because those two have chemistry, but this match showed that Bayley also has chemistry with the two of them, and it was a really good match. So I find it kind of sad that Bayley got thrown to the back again, like she unfortunately tends to all the time. But yeah, no, the match itself was great. I loved it. I gave it, what did I give? I gave it 3.5 flames.
Nice, nice. So we're on the same wavelength with that. A shout out to Becky Lynch defeating Bayley and Lyra Valkyria and retaining the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Next up after that, we had JC Jane defending the NXT Women's Championship against Jordynne Grace, who had Blake Monroe in her corner. And this one kind of went down the way we thought it would. We said, if you're not familiar,
Yeah.
well, I honestly thought Jordynne Grace was going to pull it out because she's the hot new ticket in town. However, when we talked about Blake Monroe, we also did say, if you don't know Blake Monroe, be prepared to get the wool pulled out from under you because she's just going to shock you. She's not to be trusted, and that was the case that ended up happening. She ended up as not really I don't want to say she assisted JC Jane, but JC Jane definitely took advantage of Blake Monroe hitting Jordynne Grace in the back with the NXT women's title when the referee was not looking. Then she ends up hitting that discus forearm and getting the win. And JC Jane retains the NXT championship. After the match, Jordynne Grace was not happy. She went crazy backstage looking for Blake Monroe. What a first feud for Blake Monroe in NXT against Jordynne Grace.
I know, you couldn't have picked that better if you wanted to. Yeah, I know you were not too thrilled.
No, because I didn't get my way.
Because we knew this match was going to go on before Rhea and Io, and that was the only match that we had predicted differently. And I'm sitting there going, if this doesn't go my way, I'm done, because it doesn't matter if Rhea won, because you won on the All In predictions because Tony won. And so I'm just sitting here and I'm like, well, this may be my last few minutes with the title, so I might as well just enjoy it. And I'm like, but you know what? Blake's got me. She's going to pull through because I love her and she knows I love her. And by God, did she pull through for me. So thanks to Blake, I knew you were going to do it. I was getting a little excited because when she picked up that belt, I just looked at Mom and I'm like, oh, it's happening. Oh, it's got to be happening now. And it did. And I felt so vindicated and so happy. I will say, though, the one stupid thing about it was Michael Cole trying to was that on accident? She didn't mean to do that. It's like, Cole, come on, really? It's right in front of you. What part of it was accidental? Like, give me a break on that one. That was a stupid call. But, yeah, Blake Monroe stabs Jordynne Grace in the back. Water is also wet. We knew what she was capable of. I'm sure there were some people that were genuinely shocked. And it's just like, well, welcome to the club. But yeah, so my night was saved because of Blake, so I appreciate that. And yeah, the match itself, though, was it was all right. There were definitely some out of sync moments. You could tell those two didn't have the best chemistry, and unfortunately, it showed. I gave it, what did I give it? I gave it 3.25 flames because it wasn't terrible, but a couple spots here and here there definitely held it back, I think.
I too gave it 3.25 flames. Yeah, like you said, it wasn't anything to go crazy over. Again, I don't think any of us are expecting. We're still expecting JC Jane to be champion. Nobody expected her to be champion in the first place, Yeah. So we're kind of just waiting to see who she's going to drop the belt to, but she's not planning to drop it anytime soon. And it looks like Jordynne Grace is in a plan with Blake Monroe, and that's going to be very interesting to watch. But solid for them to be on the show, and interesting moment indeed with Blake Monroe showing her true colors. She's not to be trusted.
Yeah, and I was sitting there all happy, and I know you were just sitting on stream like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. Like, whatever, but I was enjoying myself. I had a good time.
Sure. All right. Well, next up, we had a fatal four-way tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, where the Judgment Day, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, defended the titles against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, Sol Ruka and Zarya, and the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. This was fun. Looking at the timestamp for it, 10 minutes and 50 seconds, it definitely didn't feel like that. It felt like it was a little bit longer, but it was a really good Fatal 4-Way match. I really enjoyed it, and Raquel Rodriguez really starting to put it all together.
Which, good, because it's been long enough. I'm glad she's finally putting it together. I'm glad that this match didn't, like, devolve into just absolute chaos where you're like, I don't know where to look. This is a mess. This is just chaos left and right. Like, they were able to control it enough where everybody got their time to shine. And obviously some had more moments than others, but it was still enough where each team got to do their stuff and it was fun, it was creative. Some of the like tag team moves were great. Poor Sol Ruka dying, hitting hit with Zarya's spear, that was bad, but I'm sure nothing bad will come of that, not at all. But no, the match was great. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun for me. We were right with Roxanne and Raquel retaining the titles because we didn't really feel like there was going to be any chance of them losing because it just wouldn't have made sense with the whole Judgment Day thing and whatnot. But yeah, solid match. I gave it 3.5 flames. It was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I also thought the same. I also gave it 3.5 flames. I'm really happy to see Raquel put things together. I know there was a talk about what Kevin Nash had said to her about the style that she was working and how she wasn't working to the style that kind of fits her body type, and she took that to consideration, and you actually see her kind of putting it together. She is, like I said on stream, she is bigger and taller than most women she's going to come in contact with on the roster, and so she has to set herself apart from those women by being kind of like that Amazon beast and kind of being tough to take off their feet. So it's cool to see her put it together. I ended up giving this one 3.5 flames out of 5.
Nice.
All right, and now for the shortest match of the evening. It was for the WWE Women's Championship, where Tiffany Stratton defended the title against the Hall of Famer Trish Stratus. And Trish Stratus, in this like sort of part-time sporadic showings that she's been showing, to me, she shows a lot more wrestling ability now than she ever did during her peak in her career.
Which is sad. It's just really sad, but unfortunately, that was just the whole era of, well, you can be good, you just can't be too good, because God forbid a woman actually be good at wrestling, go figure. But yeah, no, this was honestly the only match where I'm just like, it's really, I get that you needed to have the title on the card, however, it was just kind of like thrown together just for the hell of it, and honestly, it really felt like it. It was, it didn't really have a lot of, really anything, to be honest. It just seemed like it was very rehearsed, I guess would be the word.
Right.
It just lacked a lot of storytelling and emotion. It was just kind of like okay, we just need to show that Tiffany's good and Trisha still got it, and let's just go home and no one get hurt, and that was pretty much all it was. Because again, you blinked and you missed it. It was
like they were playing it safe.
Yeah, because I don't know. It's just this may be in the minority. I don't know. I don't really Tiffany's just not doing it for me. She's really not. Like, she's good in the ring. Let me say that. She's good in the ring. However, just this title reign has just been it's been all right, but I don't think it's really lived up to the hype that she had going into it, because I think the big thing with me when it comes to her is just her promo skills are not great. Let's just be honest. Her promos are not good at all. She got exposed during the feud with Charlotte. Still's kind of getting exposed just of her own volition. It's just like, she's a great in-ring talent, don't get me wrong. Saying she's absolutely terrible and needs fired. It's just, I don't think her as champion has lived up to the hype surrounding it when she won it. That's just me, though.
Interesting.
And I'm gonna get canceled on Twitter or something. I don't fucking know.
Nah,
Just whatever, please.
I think you're safe. I think you're safe. I think a lot of people, I've seen a couple people say they felt that this title reign has been a little lackluster, hasn't lived up to the standard of expectance that you would like to see with Tiffany Stratton. So a
You
little,
also can't defend it 5 times against Nia Jax and expect it to be good. Like,
yeah,
let's be real.
she needs something fresh, and like she's gonna get it fresh when she takes on Jade Cargill at SummerSlam, because
Yeah.
Jade Cargill is the queen of the ring. However, like there, I would, if you were to, you know, gun to my head, ask me who to pick for that match, I'd probably go with Jade Cargill. You know,
Yeah, because clearly our scenario went completely out the window in the main event. Talk about that later, but yeah, it was the match itself is probably going to be fine at SummerSlam. It's just probably getting there is what's going to be a little shaky at
right,
times, but who knows? Maybe they'll prove us wrong. But
right.
yeah, it's just I don't know. We thought it was going to go one way, and they really looked at us and said, "Oh, you thought this is how the next few months are going to play out." Clearly, that's not going to be the case anymore. But we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, it was the match itself was, like I said, it was there. I think that's just the one thing that I probably would have taken off the card had I had the chance. And if you would have, it would have probably been a damn near perfect pay-per-view. So yeah, I gave it 3. It just didn't do anything for me.
I ended up giving it 3.25. I thought it was okay. It wasn't anything to write home about, but I feel like in these matches where Trish Stratus is kind of coming in as the part-time legend, showing that she still can get it done. She's having these banger matches, which I don't remember her having during the peak of her career, during like the Attitude Era or anything like that. I don't remember her having these type of matches because we were so bamboozled with brawn painting matches and all that stuff that we didn't get this good female wrestling. But you know, it is what it is. And happy, I don't know, she kind of hinted that that might have been her last one,
Yeah, maybe? Question
but
mark?
you know, maybe she can, you know, if they give her a good build up, she can have one more go at someone else.
Yeah,
But
who knows?
But moving on to a woman we were talking about, 2 women we were talking about just a little while ago, Jade Cargill and Naomi. They had themselves a no holds barred match where Bianca Belair was a special guest referee. I had a lot of fun watching this one. This was pretty solid, pretty standard for a no holds barred match. There was kendo sticks, chairs, trash cans. They broke out the Slim Jim table. You know, it was a pretty standard match and nothing too crazy. It only went 11 minutes and saw Jade Cargill pick up the win with Jaded off the second rope through a table. I gave this one 3.5 flames out of 5. What about you?
I also gave it 3.5. However, I felt bad for both of them because you saw 2 wildly opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to these like no holds barred matches over the weekend. You saw the Texas Death Match,
Right.
and then you saw this one, and I'm not saying cut them both open so they're bleeding buckets. Like, I'm not saying that. However, I feel like if WWE would let them get just a little bit more intense, they would be way more entertaining. Like, if you told me pick between like AEW's version of a no holds barred versus WWE's, I would absolutely pick AEW's because it's just like a little more realistic. Where some
Right.
of the things that you do, you're like, okay, you would expect any normal person to be busted open, but with WWE, we can't do that for whatever reason, which is just again, it is what it is. But
PG
yeah,
product, PG product.
yeah, and it's a shame because I feel like it never lives up to the hype because this could have been way like more intense than it ended up being, which is a shame because again, they were kind of handcuffed by WWE's rules, but it was still a great match. I thought it was fun. However, I just at the ending, I hated how abrupt it was. Like Naomi was beating Jade's ass for 90, pretty much 8 or 9 of those 11 minutes, pretty much. And then all of a sudden, Jade reverses one move and then hits a Jade, and that's wait a minute, that's it? Like, you didn't let her do anything else? Like, okay, I guess. So yeah, I just didn't like the abruptness of that ending. However, we were both surprised because we definitely picked Naomi to win that match. However, as we would come to find out later that we were wrong in many areas. But yeah, it was still fun though. I just wish that they would let them go a little more wild, but unfortunately, that's the PG brand, so whatever. So I too gave it 3.5 flames.
Nice, nice. All right. So we had a 20-woman Evolution Battle Royal for a World Championship match at Clash in Paris. This one went 15 and a half minutes with Stephanie Vicaire eliminating Lash Legend to win the match. I thought this was a pretty good Battle Royal, and I thought that particularly the women of NXT did a very good job of showing what they can do and why I think the NXT women's division is the best women's division in all of professional wrestling. And I kind of had a sneaking suspicion Stephanie Vicaire was going to end up winning this match. But I'm interested in seeing who she's going to be taking on in Clash in Paris. Did they already announce that she was going to be taking on I would assume it would be Naomi because that's the champion of her respective brand.
Possibly, unless something happens in between now and then. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it was no surprise Stephanie Figueroa won. I mean, we didn't predict it technically, but we did. We're just like that would be the one that makes the most sense. I was definitely surprised about the last two though. Like you knew it was going to be Stephanie Vicaire. As it was going on, probably going to be like Nikki Bella because blah 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 whatever. And then for Lash Legend to take her out, I'm like, oh shit, okay, like, all right, guys, I'll give you props for that one. Like, I was not expecting that at all, so give it to them. Uh, yeah, it was not bad. There were some good moments. There were some glaringly obviously bad moments, but hey, it's just kind of can't help it when there's 5,000 people in the ring, and it is what it is. The two things that I kind of noticed outside of the match though was Wade Barrett's commentary was starting to get a little like Attitude Era-esque towards the women, where it's just like, okay, well you don't have to be drooling over them, like, and that's all you're talking about is drooling over them. It's just like, okay, dude, this isn't 2005 anymore. Like they actually are good at wrestling. They're not just eye candy for you to look at. However, the end after the match interview with Stephanie trying to speak Spanish, it was just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like that was the most tone deaf thing you could have probably done. Like, I get she was trying to be probably nice, but also stop talking because you're making yourself look more and more white as you go on. So, that was a little awkward, but thank God Stephanie was able to kind of like wrangle that back a little bit because God, that was a terrible moment. But it is what it is. But no, good for Stephanie. I am fully not surprised. She's definitely becoming one of my favorites. She's so fucking cool. It's just a shame that at first I was like, I guess I was trying to speak it into the universe that, oh yeah, Rhea's gonna be EO for the sake of my predictions, but also I just thought that was what was gonna happen. So I'm like, oh, her Rhea Clash in Paris is going to be fucking great. This is going to be so much fun. But even if Io retains, that would be another great match too. And then that didn't end up happening. So
No,
you can honestly put Stephanie with anybody, and she's going to have a great match. So I'm excited for what she does.
Yeah, I have a feeling she has that in her where she can have great matches against really anybody. It doesn't really matter who it is. She has the ability to get it done with anybody in the ring. So I am definitely looking forward to see what they're going to be doing with Stephanie Vicaire. But then Naomi is just on once she was revealed to be Jade Cargill's attacker, and she went on this unhinged rage where she's kind of crazy. She's kind of crazy. She's been
put a bomb inside her briefcase,
but like all of this craziness has allowed her to be one of the most interesting characters in all of WWE TV, and she made her presence known in the main event of Evolution. It was Io Sky defending the Women's World Championship against Rhea Ripley, but about 3/4 of the way into the match, Naomi decided it was time for her to cash in her Money in the Bank briefcase, and she did. She picked a perfect opportunity to do so. She got rid of Rhea Ripley, hit the split-legged moonsault on Io Sky. 1, 2, 3, Naomi is the new women's world champion, and it's something that neither of us saw coming. A lot of people did not see coming because they expected her, like she said, they expected her to go after Tiffany Stratton, and she pulled a fast one and decided to go after Io Sky's world championship, and now she's the women's world champion. And this was, first of all, the match between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, instant classic.
Great.
Instant classic.
Damn near perfect, honestly.
Definitely up there for match of the year contender, because this was just phenomenal in every way you can fathom it. It was just phenomenal. Io Sky, like they said, male or female, probably the best professional wrestler on the planet. She's just that good. And Rhea Ripley is no slouch either. Bravo both to those women who deserve all the fanfare and all of that, because they really had an amazing match at Evolution.
Yeah, like it was just like I said, it was damn near perfect. They kind of got me a little bit when they knocked poor Jessica Carr out, because
That
I'm
was
like,
crazy. I've never seen a female
yeah,
ref bump.
me neither. And at first I'm like, oh shit, she really ate that. And then the more I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh god, we know what this usually means. I'm like, who's coming out? What's happening? Is Rhea gonna do something dumb? Like what's going on? And it turns out it was just so they could go out and like jump off of things. It's fine. That was all that needed. It was just like, hey, whatever. Why the fuck? Yeah, the thing that was just once I knew it was the main event, I was just like, here we fucking go. Everyone online's gonna bitch and complain because of course Rhea's in the main event because blah 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 blah. Also, can we please, this is just my plea to the wrestling community, not that no one's gonna listen, but it's still the point. Can we drop the stupid fucking insert wrestler Hogan joke here? Like it's so dumb. It is
Yeah.
so fucking dumb. And it's just like, thank you for telling me you have no intellect when you say a joke like that, because number one, you're stupid. Number two, you're wrong. It's just like, yes, because all of these people have 1000% say in what they do and how they're booked and whatever.
Right.
And if we've said it once, we said it 1,000 times. God forbid you book Rhea Ripley, who is probably your most popular star in the entire company, male or female. And then you get mad when she gets featured because she is one of the top stars in your company, if not the top star, and continuously probably does a god and awful amount of money in merch, gets big, massive reactions everywhere she goes. And you're gonna get pissed because she's gonna be put in the top spotlight when actual fans that pay money to see said wrestler is going to put them in a like top card position. Who would have fucking thought? The fact that like I just don't like how like loosely we're throwing that like wrestler Hogan joke around, because number one, I fully agreed with Becky when she like clapped back at those people about it, where she's like, I don't want to be associated with that asshole. Like, it's an insult, because why would you want to be associated or just like compared to a racist piece of shit? Because that's just what he is. Just call a spade is what he is. And it's just like, so anybody who wins more than 2 matches in a row now, insert Hogan here. Like, you guys are so dumb. Come up with something actually like critical thinking and original, because it's just fucking stupid, and it makes me think a lot. Like, makes me not think too highly of your intellect when you say jokes like that. It just drives me up a fucking wall. But you know what? That match between those two showed why it had to be the main event, because those two just have another level of chemistry that is just insane. Just again, that was a near perfect match, probably one of the best matches of the entire weekend. Definitely best match of the night for sure. And then Naomi cashing in, you and I were not expecting that at all. And like you said, a lot of people were probably not expecting it, because it was the red herring. She's like, oh, just pay attention to like Tiffany, because I'm gonna go after. Oh yeah, and then clearly that wasn't the case. It was a genuine shock, one that I wasn't really mad about though, because Naomi's definitely earned it and then some. So I wasn't mad about it. It was definitely an actually genuinely shocked moment. which I'm like, you know what? I'll give it to them. They definitely pulled the wool over all of our eyes. Um, and yeah, so you had a fantastic surprise ending on top of a fantastic match to begin with. There was nothing to complain about at all. And yeah, it was a great match, and I'm interested to see what's gonna. Well, I mean, obviously we know there's a triple threat at SummerSlam, so that should be interesting. Build up to that, but yeah, it's a great ending to the show. I can't complain, and Naomi saved my title for me, so thank you, Naomi.
Yeah, Naomi, you screwed me out of the title, Naomi. What's up with that? No, I'm really excited to see how far Naomi can go with this. On the microphone, she's being really entertaining. She's got me
Yeah.
howling at some of the stuff that she says.
Uh-huh.
She just doesn't. She has no filter, which is great. The entire show is great, top to bottom. Probably one of the better shows because it was one of the more like easily digestible, logical wrestling shows of the weekend. There was so much wrestling over this weekend between like even Thursday and Friday. You had like Super Card of Honor and all that stuff and all that. And you know, there was so much wrestling that it was just nice that a show that deserved to get the fanfare and attraction and attention like Evolution got exactly that, and it went off and it was great. So hopefully that means that there are going to be more Evolution pay-per-views in the future and that they should make it a yearly occurrence. I don't see why not.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that bullshit excuse Triple H had of, oh, we gotta see if the demand's there. It's like, no, it's there.
Yeah.
And it's been there. You guys just haven't wanted to listen to it up until now. So maybe you guys can figure it out that this is actually like, yeah, it's not your. And the worst part is they'll just use the excuse of, well, I mean, it didn't like make the most money this year. And it's just like, well, yeah, no shit, it didn't, because you set it up to fail to begin with, and guess what? It didn't fail. So joke's on you guys. So now you kind of have to eat shit over it. But I don't know. I totally forgot. I completely didn't even put the rating for the reunion of match stars. 4 Flames easily. Like again, best match of the weekend, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I gave it 4.25 Flames. It was just, I was just blown away how good it was, it was. And damn it, Io Sky is like, she's so good. She is so good.
Fantastic.
Ridiculous. Like, it's crazy. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have made it. After an hour and a half of talking wrestling between All In, Saturday night's main event, and WWE Evolution, we have made it to the conclusion of the show. If this is your first time listening, we hope that you enjoyed this episode and you enjoyed the content that we bring you here. For those of you that don't know, you can find this podcast all across the board on the internet. It's wherever you listen to podcasts. All you have to do is search Ringside Rundown, hit the follow or subscribe button, whatever they ask you to do, and you will never miss an episode of the Ringside Rundown. We drop an episode weekly. Every Wednesday morning, a new episode of the Ringside Rundown drops. And yeah, most of the episodes, what we do is we answer your questions. So if you have a wrestling related question, whether it's about WWE, AEW, TNA, New Japan, Ring of Honor, it doesn't matter. If it has something to do with wrestling and you want to get our opinion and our thoughts on it, go ahead and ask the question. We always ask you to post up your questions on Twitter at Ringside Rundown. Every Monday I post up the questions tweet asking you to submit questions. You could drop it there. Also, you could hit up our Discord. We have a Ringside Rundown Discord server with a channel specifically for podcast questions. So all you have to do is just check it out there. Our Discord server is posted all across the board on all of our links on social media, so it's easy to find for you. So check it out there. Like I said, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Ringside Rundown. We're also on YouTube, where you can find full episodes of the podcast as well, at Ringside Run Pod on YouTube, at Ringside Run Pod. We also have short form content on TikTok, Ringside_Rundown on TikTok. Check us out there. And finally, the best place to interact with me and everything that the Ringside Rundown has going on are doing the live streams every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. We do live watch-alongs on Twitch, twitch.tv/Ringside Rundown. Come hang out and chat and have a good time with me. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
I don't know if I can top that, but hey, you can find me on Twitter for all my wrestling talk and whatnot at Shay Ringside _, much like Eric's username. So yeah, that's my new wrestling account now, so I can talk about all the wrestlings and not my I don't know, 5,000 other interests at the same time. I got a little crazy there for a minute, so.
There you go. There's a great place to follow Shay and all her wrestling opinions and musings. So definitely go check her out. We'll be back next week, right? No plans to keep the train slowing down. We'll be back next week with an episode where we'll be answering your questions about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. So until then, my name is Erik Vasquez, and for Shay Hickson, thank you for listening to the Ringside Rundown, and we'll check you out on the next one, guys. Take care.
See you later, guys.